I have a lady named Erica with me.
Erica? Was
Erica.
That? Erica, yep.
And she passed away about 2 years ago.
Yep.
And she left her son. And
When you say she left her son, does that...
she left her son of 5 years old here on earth.
Yeah, after due to the passing, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So her son, who's 5 years old, so he's now 7, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's very concerned about him.
She spends a lot of her time around him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very, very angry with who his caregivers are at the moment, because they're not...
So she was a single mum?
Yes.
Yep. And who did she leave? Did she leave it with a couple or somebody she thought she could trust when she was on earth?
She passed away in a car accident.
Yep.
And she left her son, and he has been tossed around from all family members, from the father to the grandmother to the sister-in-law.
Right.
And now he's living with the sister-in-law, and she's got a lot of... Erica has a lot of anger towards men at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And what's the cause of the anger towards men?
She's never had attention from men.
Yep.
And they don't listen to her. That's what's coming through.
So no attention from men?
Yeah.
When you say attention, she means like somebody who cares about her, love of her? Yep.
She had a relationship with a woman before she passed.
Yeah. But she realises the woman isn't her soulmate?
Yes.
She realises that a man's her soulmate?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And what was the other thing she mentioned? Sorry, I just can't feel it from her again. So there's no attention from men and... Can't get that, okay. Is it a bit of a surprise that I said to her that her soulmate's not a woman?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what's caused her to shut down a little now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's aware of who her soulmate actually is?
No.
No.
She's been too attached to the earth.
Okay. Yep. All right. So because of her anger with men, she eventually even got into a relationship with a woman.
Yes.
And obviously felt she was in love with the woman, but
yes.
But in reality can see now that a lot of it was motivated by her anger with men.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, this is something that happens quite a lot with intergender relationships. Quite often we have homosexual men who have female relationships. We have homosexual women who have male relationships. And we also have heterosexual men and women who have relationships with the same gender, in other words, a male with a male or female with a female, because of their unhealed emotion regarding that opposite gender that is their real soulmate gender. So that often happens. All right, so why did she want to talk with us? So she's...
Because she feels that she's very bound to her son here on earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's still very angry with the caregivers with how they're treating her son, and she feels that they're not doing the job that she could be doing with here on earth still.
Yep. Now, there's some really hard truths that I'm going to point out to her, though. Is she okay with that? She can see that I'm not feeling judgment towards her, but I need to point out some things that she hasn't thought about.
She wants the truth.
Okay. Well, firstly, can she see that because of the anger with men that she has, that her son growing up with her actually caused her son to receive a lot of that anger that she has with men?
She can't see that.
She can't see that at all. Okay, well let's...
She needs to have that explained to her a little bit more.
Well, what I'd like to do, instead of explaining it to her, because she see the colours of the anger with men that she has inside of her.
Yes.
And when she sees that colour coming out of her, can she see where it goes?
It's projected out onto her.
Who's it going to primarily? There's a man...
To the father of the child.
Right, so there's a man it's going to primarily at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Can she see that?
Yes.
That anger emotion, she wants that man to feel her anger, doesn't she?
Yes.
She can feel that?
Yes.
She wants to punish that man.
Yeah, I feel I want to punish him.
Yeah, okay. So she can see that really strong, terrible coloured red and black type emotions.
And brown and yes.
Yeah, coming out of her straight into this, and it's entering the man, right?
Yes.
Can she see where else the colour is going? Because there's less colour, but of the same colour going to other men around her. Can you see where that's going?
She feels that there's anger going towards her son as well.
Mm. So can she see how, because she's angry with men inside of her, that some of this stuff that she's projecting at the men actually doesn't just all fall on men that she thinks that she hates, but rather it also falls on a lot of men she thinks she loves. Can she see that?
Yes.
Right? And can she see how that means then, if her son was living with her on earth, that her son would also be receiving this emotion from her?
Yes.
Now, if she goes now and just has a look at her son, and what we'll do is I'll just say before she goes and has a look, she can go and have a look and then come back quite rapidly. But what I would like to do is, can she see the effect that's had on her son and his relationship with women?
Yes.
What's the effect?
He doesn't...
She's feeling upset. Yeah, so she wants to cry, yeah.
She's been watching this.
Can she see how it's entering her son and even damaging little bits of his body? And now his interaction with girls and women, you can see what's happening in his interaction with girls and women.
He feels that all women leave him.
Yep.
And that they don't want him.
Yep. And this anger coming from her is actually helping him feel that even stronger. It's actually helping him feel this feeling of that he's not wanted. Can you see that? So one of the first things that needs to happen is instead of getting angry with how the people on earth are treating her son, she first needs to deal with how she's treating her son. Does that make sense?
How do I get away from being so attached to the earth?
You're attached to the earth for a lot of different reasons, but there's two primary reasons. One is that you're very, very angry with men, and you spend a lot of your time on the earth projecting that anger at men who you feel deserve it. Don't you?
Yes.
You see that?
Yes.
The other reason why you're very attracted to the earth is because you're worried about your son and how he's being treated. So there's two things that's causing your attraction to the earth.
Yes.
Now, there's some spirits around you who have tried to talk to you about these issues, aren't there?
Yes, there's been spirits that I have asked and I am finding hard to believe.
You don't want to hear their answers, do you?
No.
No. And why don't you want to hear their answers?
Because of my pain.
Yeah.
And because of what I've left behind.
Yeah. Now, the truth is that you can be with people on earth in a loving way. But at the moment, the majority of your interactions with people on earth are very unloving, in that you're projecting a lot of rage and anger to these people on earth, and even some of that is going towards your son. Right?
Yes.
And then on top of that, you're very upset with the people looking after your son, so there's a lot of rage and anger going towards those people too. And this is what's causing you to stay on earth. You are avoiding your own grief about these matters. Do you follow me now? So what happens is, here's some grief that you have about, firstly, about men, and secondly, about how your son's being treated. Ironically, your son's being treated badly partly because of your attitude towards men. But you've got some grief about men. Then on top of this grief about men, you have is a large fear about feeling this grief, right? You're very afraid about how much sorrow there is inside of you about men. And you don't want to feel that sorrow. You instead want to blame the men and get them to feel the sorrow. And of course, they're not doing that, are they?
No.
They're just doing more damage, right? So the man you were with, from whom your son was born, right? He's not a very nice fellow now that you see him, is he?
Very damaged.
Yeah. And he's still damaging women, isn't he?
Terribly.
Yeah. And you're really angry about that.
Terribly angry.
Okay. So what's happening is, on top of the fear of dealing with your own grief, there's this really big rage inside of you, right? Now, while you choose to avoid your grief about men, which is actually not even connected to this man that you're angry with, neither is it connected to your son, it's actually connected to your dad. Can you see that?
Yes.
And can you see how that's one of the reasons why you're attracted to Shannon too? That you can see that she's got some similar emotions in her?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see that what you're doing is in actual fact avoiding your grief about men. You're very afraid to feel it. And in fact, not only just afraid to feel it, but you actually feel that you shouldn't have to feel it. You feel that they should have to feel it all.
I do.
But let me put to you one thing, and that is that there's an emotion inside of you. How can anyone else feel the emotion that's inside of you? Have you ever seen that happen since you've been in the spirit world? Another person feel your emotions exactly as you feel them? Can you see sometimes they do, but they've had similar emotions than you have had. They're feeling their own emotions, aren't they?
Yes.
Have you ever been able to release any of your emotion by making someone else feel it for you?
No.
Okay. So what I'm saying to you is, you're not going, no matter how much rage and anger and everything else you project at these men, and by the way, the real issue is not these men, but rather your dad, and no matter how much rage and anger and everything that you have even with your dad, right, you are not going to be able to make them feel your grief. Because the grief is inside of you and only you can feel it.
There's a lot there.
Yeah. Now the only way for this matter to improve for you is for you to begin feeling your own grief. Does that make sense? Now if you choose to not feel your own grief, you're going to stay in this state of anger and blame. You're going to still be projecting out to all of these men, and one of these men is going to be your little son. And he is going to continue to receive damage from you, even from the spirit world. And he's going to continue to feel like no woman is ever going to love him all of his life. What he needs from you is a mother's love, a real love, not this damaging emotion or caring type emotion or he's my son type emotion, but a real love. And that's only going to come when you can feel your grief about how men have treated you. Can you see the relationship there?
Yes.
Now, what we'd like to do is ask some spirits to come and help you do that. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah. And this time, can you trust them a little more?
Yes, I've been wanting to come.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to come to you.
Yeah. And if you can trust these spirits a little more, they'll be able to show you really easily how to get through these emotions. They're going to be some tough emotions, but you'll get through them quite rapidly if you let yourself feel them. At the moment, you're staying in this place of anger, and that's not letting yourself feel any of this. Yeah? And what will happen is you'll release this anger that you feel towards the man. You'll release the anger you feel towards your dad. You'll feel some grief. And you know you're going to grow to a nice new place in the spirit world that's much happier than where you are now. And in that place, you'll be able to love your son even more. And you'll also know what to do in order to help him have a situation and environment that's to his benefit. But at the moment, your own emotions are contributing to his negative environment.
I hear you.
Yeah? Okay. So what if they can talk to you about a lot of that, and they can also show you how to help your son properly? Yeah?
She wants to go.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Erica.